Lisa had everything a woman could ever wish for: a loving husband, a beautiful home, and a career that was flourishing. Every morning, she woke up to the warm embrace of her husband, Daniel, a tall, handsome young man who adored her. Their house, a spacious and tastefully furnished duplex in an upscale neighborhood, was the kind of home many people could only dream of. Lisa worked in a top marketing firm, and her salary was more than enough to afford her a luxurious lifestyle. She dressed in designer's clothes, wore expensive perfumes, and drove a sleek black SUV that turned heads whenever she passed. To many, Lisa was the definition of a successful woman. But Lisa never let her wealth change her. She remained kind-hearted, humble, and always willing to help those in need. And that included her childhood friend, Cindy. Cindy and Lisa had been friends since they were little girls. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, attended the same primary school, and even shared childhood dreams of becoming successful together. But life had taken them in two different directions. While Lisa climbed the ladder of success, Cindy struggled. She had no stable job and still lived with her aging mother in a cramped, run-down apartment. She had never been married, and though she claimed she was not in a hurry, it was clear that she envied Lisa's marriage. Lisa, being the generous friend she was, often helped Cindy. She sent her money when she could, took her out for lunch, and even gifted her old clothes. Clothes that were still in perfect condition but no longer fit her. Each time she gave Cindy something, Cindy would force a smile and say thank you. But deep inside her, jealousy burned. One Saturday afternoon, Lisa was clearing out her closets when she found a pile of expensive dresses she no longer wore. They were barely used. Some still had price tags on them. She smiled as an idea crossed her mind. Cindy will love this. She packed the clothes neatly into a bag and later that evening drove to Cindy's house. When Cindy opened the door and saw Lisa standing there with the bag, she smiled. "Lisa, what brings you here?" she asked sweetly. Lisa handed her the bag. "I was clearing out my wardrobe and found some clothes I don't wear anymore. I thought you might like them." Cindy took the bag, glancing inside. The smile on her face remained, but her heart tightened with resentment. Lisa had everything: a wealthy husband, a fancy house, a well-paying job, and now she was giving her charity. Cindy forced a laugh. "Wow, Lisa, you always remember me. Thank you." Lisa beamed. "I hope they fit. If they don't, feel free to give them to someone else." That last sentence hit Cindy like a slap. Give them to someone else? So Lisa thought so little of her that she was just dumping her leftovers on her? The moment Lisa left, Cindy stormed into her mother's room, fuming with anger. Cindy's mother, Mama Rose, was a frail-looking woman in her 60s, but she was no ordinary mother. She was feared in the neighborhood. People whispered that she had the power to make things happen, good or bad. Cindy threw the bag of clothes on the bed. "Mama, look at what Lisa brought for me," she hissed. Mama Rose eyed the bag, unimpressed. "And what is wrong with that?" Cindy clenched her fist. "She gave me her old clothes like I'm some beggar. Just because she has money, a good husband, and a big house, she thinks she's better than me." Mama Rose's eyes darkened. "And you're just realizing this now?" Cindy bit her lip. She had been feeling this way for a long time, but had never voiced it out loud. Mama Rose leaned closer. Tell me, my daughter, are you still interested in her husband? Cindy's heart pounded. Daniel? Of course, she was still interested. She had always secretly wished that he had married her instead of Lisa. She had flirted with him before, but he never paid her any real attention. I won't lie, Mama. Daniel should have been mine. Mama Rose smiled. Then, my child, you shall have him. Cindy's breath hitched. What do you mean, Mama? Mama Rose picked up the bag of clothes, her fingers tracing over them as her lips moved in silent incantations. These clothes carry Lisa's energy. Through them, I will ruin her life. Cindy watched, mesmerized, as her mother brought out strange-looking items from a small wooden box. A bowl of dark liquid, red powder, and an old rusted needle. What are you doing, Mama? She whispered. Mama Rose's eyes gleamed. By the time I'm done, Lisa will be unbearable to everyone around her. Her husband will leave her. Her friends will avoid her. She will smell so bad that people will run from her. Cindy's breath quickened. And Daniel? Mama Rose smiled wickedly. He will be lonely. And that, my child, is when you will strike. Cindy smiled. She had wanted this for so long, and now it was finally happening. The next morning, Lisa woke up feeling strange. She went about her normal routine, showering, dressing up, applying her perfume. But when she stepped out of the room, something odd happened. Daniel, who was making coffee in the kitchen, suddenly made a face. He turned to her, his nose wrinkled in disgust. Lisa, did you forget to shower? Lisa frowned. What? Of course not. Daniel stepped back, covering his nose. Then why do you smell so bad? Lisa's heart skipped a beat. I don't smell anything. She lifted her arm and sniffed herself. Nothing. But when she took a step closer to Daniel, he coughed. Lisa, please, he said, his face full of irritation. Whatever this is, take care of it. Lisa stood there, confused, as Daniel grabbed his car keys and left for work. What was happening? She shook it off and went to the office. Lisa walked into the office that morning feeling like any other day. She wore a crisp white blouse tucked into navy blue slacks, paired with elegant heels. Her hair was neatly styled, and she had applied her signature vanilla-scented perfume. But something was off. The moment she stepped into the elevator, people shifted away from her. At first, she thought it was nothing. Maybe she had just stepped into a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. But then she noticed the way her colleagues looked at her. Linda, the receptionist, who always greeted her with a warm good morning, suddenly sniffled as she walked past. Her smile faltered and her nose crinkled slightly before she quickly looked away. Lisa frowned. What was that about? She continued down the hallway, greeting her colleagues as usual, but something strange kept happening. People who were once friendly didn't respond. Some turned away quickly. One woman, Sharon from accounting, even covered her nose with her hand as Lisa walked past. Lisa slowed her pace. Why was everyone acting so weird? By the time she reached her office, a sinking feeling had started to settle in her stomach. She pushed open the glass door and found her assistant, Michelle, at her desk. Michelle was typing on her laptop, but the moment Lisa walked in, her fingers froze. Lisa noticed the slight flinch on Michelle's face, before she quickly composed herself. "Good morning, ma'am," Michelle said, but her voice sounded forced. Lisa sat down and started arranging some files. "Michelle, is everything all right?" Michelle hesitated. Yes, everything is fine." But her body language said otherwise. Lisa watched as Michelle subtly leaned away from her, keeping a little more distance than usual. That's when it hit her. This wasn't just one or two people acting strangely. It was everyone. A strange unease crept up her spine, but she brushed it off. Maybe she was just overthinking. She turned on her computer and got to work. An hour later, Lisa stepped out of her office to grab a coffee. That's when things got worse. As she walked through the hallway, she heard whispers behind her. "It is her. God, it's so bad. How does she not know?" Lisa's heartbeat quickened. Were they talking about her? She reached the coffee station where a few colleagues were gathered. As she poured herself a cup, she noticed something disturbing. One by one, they all left. They didn't just leave, they practically rushed out, covering their noses as they went. Lisa froze. What was happening? She took a deep breath. "I don't smell anything." So why were people acting like she was covered in garbage? Determined not to let anxiety take over, Lisa ignored everything and went back to work. But by lunchtime, things took a humiliating turn. She decided to go to a nearby supermarket to grab a quick snack. The moment she walked in, customers turned to stare, and then it began. A woman standing near the fruit section covered her nose aggressively and walked away. A man at the bread aisle took one look at Lisa, gagged, and abandoned his shopping cart. Even the cashier stepped back when Lisa approached the counter. Lisa's hands shook as she handed over the money. The cashier took it with extreme reluctance, her nose scrunched up as if she was about to vomit. Lisa felt her face heat up. Something was terribly wrong. She hurried out of the store, her heart racing. As soon as she reached her car, she pulled down the mirror and sniffed herself again. Nothing. She smelled nothing, but everyone else did. By the time Lisa got home, she was shaking. She stepped into the house and saw Daniel sitting on the couch, watching TV. He looked up and immediately tensed. Lisa swallowed hard. "Hey, babe." Daniel's jaw clenched. "Lisa," he hesitated, his voice lower than usual. She could already tell what he was going to say. It was him. He smelled it too. Lisa felt something snap inside her. "What is going on?" she demanded. "Why is everyone acting like I stink? I don't smell anything." Daniel's face twisted in frustration. "Lisa, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's bad, really bad. It's like something died on you." Lisa's blood ran cold. She backed away, shaking her head. "No, that's not possible." "I can barely sit near you," Daniel admitted, standing up. Lisa's breath came in shaky gasps. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just a bad day. Something was very, very wrong, and she had no idea how to fix it. Lisa stood frozen, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Daniel's words played over and over in her head. "I can barely sit near you." She opened her mouth to protest, to argue that it was all in his head, that maybe he was mistaken. But then Daniel did something that shattered her completely. He took a step back, then another. Then he grabbed his car keys from the table and said, I need some air. And before Lisa could say another word, he walked out of the house. Just like that, Lisa's knee gave out and she sank onto the couch. What was happening to her? That night, Lisa scrubbed herself raw. She stood in the bathroom, running the loofah over her body again and again, using 3 different kinds of soap. She washed her hair, she brushed her teeth until her gums bled. She even used a lemon scrub, hoping to remove whatever smell everyone was running from. When she was done, the bathroom smelled like vanilla, citrus, and lavender. There was no way she still smelled bad. She wrapped herself in a towel, feeling hopeful for the first time all day. But the moment she stepped out of the bathroom, she saw Daniel sleeping on the couch. Her heart broke. He had never slept on the couch before. Even after fights, he would always hold her at night. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she swallowed them down. She refused to break. The next day, Lisa woke up determined to act normal. She put on a fresh outfit, used extra perfume, and told herself everything would be fine. But the moment she arrived at work, she felt it again. The same stares, the same whispers. Even Michelle, her assistant, was wearing a face mask. Lisa's stomach twisted. She sat at her desk, pretending not to notice. But the final blow came when her boss, Mr. Henderson, called her into his office. She stepped inside, keeping her chin high, but the moment he opened his mouth, she knew she was finished. Lisa, he sighed, rubbing his temples. I don't know how to say this, but we've received multiple complaints. Lisa's throat tightened. Complaints? You are a valuable employee, Mr. Henderson continued. But there is an issue. People have been complaining about a very strong odor around you. It's making the work environment uncomfortable. Lisa's heart dropped. Sir, I don't smell anything, she whispered. Mr. Henderson gave her a pitying look. Lisa, I don't know if it's a medical condition, but we need you to take some time off and sort this out. Lisa felt like she had been slapped. You are suspending me? Temporarily, he clarified, just until this issue is resolved. Tears burned in Lisa's eyes, but she refused to cry. Instead, she nodded stiffly, turned around, and walked out. By the time she reached the parking lot, she was shaking with rage, humiliation, and fear. Lisa drove home in a daze. She had lost her job. Her husband couldn't stand being near her, and she still had no idea what was happening to her. As she pulled into the driveway, she saw something that shattered her even more. Daniel was sitting outside in his car, and he wasn't alone. Cindy was with him. Lisa's stomach twisted. Cindy was laughing, her hand lightly touching Daniel's arm. Lisa gripped the steering wheel so tightly her fingers turned white. Something was very, very wrong, and for the first time, she realized this wasn't just bad luck. Someone had done this to her. Lisa sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Cindy was laughing with her husband, and Daniel, her own husband, was smiling back at Cindy. Lisa's chest tightened, a lump forming in her throat. But before she could dwell on it, Cindy suddenly turned and noticed her. Her eyes widened, and within seconds, she was rushing toward Lisa's car. Lisa! Cindy's voice was filled with concern, her brows furrowed in worry. Lisa slowly stepped out of the car, her body stiff. Lisa, what is going on? Cindy asked, reaching out to touch Lisa's arm, but she quickly pulled back, pretending to hesitate. I know you've been stressed lately, but something seems really wrong. Lisa swallowed the lump in her throat. I'm fine. Cindy gave her a sympathetic look. Lisa, don't do that. You're not fine. Daniel told me what's been happening. He's worried about you. Lisa's eyes flickered to Daniel, who was still sitting in the car, rubbing his temple as if exhausted. Lisa, I know this is hard, Cindy continued, lowering her voice, but you need to see a doctor. Lisa's stomach twisted. A doctor? Cindy, no, listen to me. Cindy gently held Lisa's hands, her voice soft and persuasive. I know you might not realize it, but people have been noticing something off. It's not just Daniel or your co-workers, Lisa. Even at the supermarket the other day, I saw how people reacted. Lisa's breath hitched. She had tried so hard to ignore it, to convince herself that everyone was just imagining things, but Cindy was making it real. I don't know what's wrong, Lisa, Cindy continued, squeezing her hands, but I care about you. You need to get checked. Maybe it's a health issue, maybe something you ate, or an allergic reaction. You don't deserve to go through this alone. Lisa blinked rapidly, tears threatening to fall. No one had spoken to her with this much concern, not even Daniel. Cindy was the only one still standing by her side. Lisa let out a shaky breath. Do you really think it could be something medical? Cindy nodded eagerly. Yes, and don't worry, I'll go with you. Whatever it is, we'll find a solution together. I've got your back, Lisa. Lisa's lip trembled as she finally let her words crack. She had felt so alone, but maybe Cindy was right. Maybe something was truly wrong with her health. And Cindy was the only one willing to help her through it. The next morning, Lisa sat in the doctor's office, her hands gripping her pulse tightly. Cindy sat beside her, holding her hand in reassurance. It's going to be okay, babe, Cindy whispered. Lisa gave her a small, grateful smile. The doctor, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, finally stepped in, flipping through some notes. So, Lisa, he began, I understand you've been experiencing an other issue. Lisa's face burned with shame. She forced a nod. The doctor adjusted his glasses. Have you noticed any physical symptoms? Skin changes? Unusual body reactions? Lisa hesitated. No, I feel fine, but everyone else seems to smell something that I can't. The doctor hummed in thought. Interesting. He ran a few tests, checked her temperature, asked her about her diet, and even took some blood samples for further analysis. As Lisa sat there, Cindy leaned in, giving her a warm smile. You're doing great, Cindy whispered. We'll get to the bottom of this. Lisa exhaled a deep breath, relief washing over her. Cindy was truly looking out for her. For the first time in weeks, Lisa felt hopeful. By the time they left the hospital, Lisa felt a bit lighter. Cindy stayed by her side, chatting and lifting her spirits. You're going to be okay, Cindy assured her. Even if the tests come back with something, we'll handle it together. Lisa nodded, grateful beyond words. She never realized how much she needed a friend. What she didn't see, however, was the tiny smile that flickered across Cindy's lips when she turned away. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that Cindy had already won the first battle. Lisa was falling into her trap, and soon she would lose everything. Lisa sat on her bed later that evening, staring at the ceiling. The visit to the doctor had given her a small sense of hope. Maybe something was really wrong with her health. Maybe the doctor would find the cause and give her medicine to cure it. She sighed and picked up her phone. No missed calls from Daniel. Her chest tightened. He hadn't spoken to her much since yesterday. Was he avoiding her? She shook off the thoughts and scrolled through her messages. There was one from Cindy. I hope you're feeling better. Try to rest. Remember, I've got your back, with a love emoji. Lisa smiled a little. Cindy had been so kind through all this. Unlike everyone else, she didn't treat her like a problem. She quickly replied, Thanks, Cindy. I really appreciate you. Cindy's reply came almost immediately. Anytime, love. Get some sleep. We'll figure this out together, with a love emoji. Lisa put her phone down and exhaled. For the first time in days, she felt less alone. The next morning, Lisa woke up to find Daniel's side of the bed still untouched. Her heart sank. She quickly got up and went downstairs, but Daniel wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. She checked the guest room, empty. Panic rose in her chest. She grabbed her phone and called him. It rang twice before he picked up. Hello. His voice was distant, almost annoyed. Daniel, where are you? A pause. Then he sighed. I slept at a hotel. Lisa's stomach dropped. A hotel? She whispered. I needed space, Lisa. His tone was sharp, cutting through her like a knife. I can't live like this. I can't eat near you. I can't even breathe properly in the same room as you. Lisa swallowed hard, forcing back tears. But I went to the doctor yesterday, she said quickly. Cindy went with me. We are waiting for the test results. They might find what's wrong and fix it. Daniel sighed again. I don't know, Lisa. I need time. Time for what? Lisa's voice cracked. To think. Lisa gripped the phone tightly, fear creeping into her bones. Daniel, please, don't do this. I'm trying to fix it. Another silence. Then finally he said, I'll come by later to pick up some clothes. And just like that, he hung up. Lisa stared at her phone, her whole world crashing down. Lisa sat on the couch, her hands trembling. She had never felt so helpless in her life. Her husband was slipping away. Her job was gone. Her life was falling apart. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was Cindy. Lisa quickly picked up. Lisa, Cindy's voice was soft, gentle. How are you feeling? Lisa bit her lip, trying not to cry. Not good. Daniel didn't come home last night. Cindy was silent for a moment. Then she sighed. Lisa, I know this is hard, but maybe Daniel just needs space. Men are like that sometimes. Lisa sniffed. But what if he never comes back? Don't think like that, Cindy said sweetly. You are his wife. He loves you. He's just confused right now. Lisa desperately wanted to believe that. Listen, Cindy continued. Why don't I come over later? I'll bring some food and we can talk. You shouldn't be alone right now. Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Okay, I would like that. Good, Cindy said. I'll be there soon. Lisa hung up, feeling a tiny bit better. At least Cindy was still by her side. At least she had someone. But what Lisa didn't know was that Cindy wasn't coming over just to comfort her. She was coming over to push her further into despair. And little by little, Lisa was walking right into her trap. Later that evening, Lisa sat on the couch, waiting for Cindy. Her heart was heavy. She kept checking her phone, hoping for a message from Daniel. Nothing. Her eyes were puffy from crying, her mind racing with thoughts she couldn't control. What if Daniel didn't come back? What if she lost him forever? Just then, the doorbell rang. Lisa wiped her face quickly and rushed to open it. Cindy stood there, holding a food bag and a bottle of juice, her face filled with concern. Oh, Lisa, she sighed. stepping inside and wrapping her arms around Lisa. That simple hug made Lisa's chest tighten. She needed this. She needed someone to tell her everything would be okay. Come, sit down, Cindy said, leading her to the couch. Have you eaten today? Lisa shook her head. I wasn't hungry. You have to eat something, Cindy said gently. You can't let yourself waste away because of this. She opened the food container. The aroma of fried rice and grilled chicken filled the air. Lisa's stomach rumbled. She hadn't realized how hungry she was. Cindy handed her a plate. Eat first, then we'll talk. Lisa hesitated, then took a bite. For the first time that day, she felt a little bit of comfort. Cindy sat beside Lisa, watching her eat. You know, she said slowly, I was thinking about Daniel. Lisa looked up. What about him? Cindy sighed, playing with the edge of her sleeve. I don't want to upset you, but don't you think it's strange how quickly he left? Lisa frowned. He said he needed space. Space? Cindy laughed. Lisa, you've been his wife for years. A real man doesn't run away the moment his wife faces a problem. Lisa swallowed hard. She wanted to defend Daniel. She wanted to believe he was just overwhelmed, but Cindy's words made sense. He didn't even try to help you find a solution, Cindy continued. He just ran. And now he's staying in a hotel? That doesn't sit right with me. Lisa bit her lip. You think he's seen someone else? Cindy sighed again. I don't want to say that, but men, when they start pulling away like this, there's usually a reason. Lisa's stomach twisted. Was Daniel really seeing someone else? Was that why he didn't call? Why didn't he even check on her? Cindy reached out and squeezed Lisa's hand. But don't worry, she said softly. No matter what happens, I've got you. You're not alone in this. Lisa looked at her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and fear. What if Cindy was right? What if Daniel was already moving on? The next afternoon, Lisa was sitting in the living room when she heard the front door open. Her heart leaped. Daniel. She rushed to the door just as he stepped in. He looked tired, but his expression was cold. Lisa swallowed hard. Daniel, you're back. I'm just here to get some clothes, he said, walking past her. Lisa's heart sank. That was it? No hug, no concern, just clothes? Daniel, please, she said, following him upstairs. Talk to me. Daniel sighed, rubbing his forehead. Lisa, I told you, I need time. Time for what? Lisa asked, her voice breaking. To decide if you still want me? Daniel didn't answer. He just opened the wardrobe and started pulling out clothes. Lisa's chest tightened. Her marriage was slipping away, and she had no idea how to stop it. Cindy's words echoed in her mind. A real man doesn't run away. Men don't just need space. There's usually a reason. Lisa's mind started spinning. Was Daniel already replacing her? Was Cindy right all along? She clenched her fist, fear turning into anger. If Daniel was leaving, then maybe she needed to find out why. And if Cindy was the only one who had her back, maybe she needed to start listening. But Lisa had no idea that Cindy wasn't just supporting her, she was the one pulling the strings. As soon as Daniel walked out of the house with his bag, Lisa stood frozen in place. Her heart ached like never before. She couldn't believe this was happening. Her own husband had just walked out on her without a single sign of care. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. No, she couldn't break down. Not now. She needed help, and there was only one person she could think of. Lisa grabbed her phone and dialed her mother's number. The phone rang twice before her mother picked up. Lisa, my dear, how are you? Her mother's warm voice came through. Lisa couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down her face as she broke down completely. Mama, I don't know what's happening to me, she sobbed. Daniel left. He packed his clothes and left. There was a brief silence before her mother spoke, her voice firm. Calm down, my child. Tell me everything. What happened? Lisa sniffed. Mama, something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is. People run from me. My colleagues at work avoid me. And now Daniel has left. Her mother's voice became sharp. Avoid you? What do you mean? Lisa's lips trembled. Mama, I think I smell bad, but I can't even smell it. It's like something is wrong with me. Another pause. Then her mother spoke in a low, serious tone. Lisa, I don't like the sound of this. This is not ordinary. Where are you now? I'm at home, Lisa whispered. Stay there. I'm coming right away, her mother said firmly. We will figure this out together. Lisa nodded, wiping her tears. Thank you, Mama. She hung up the phone and took a deep breath. For the first time in days, she felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe her mother could help her find a way out of this nightmare. As Lisa waited for her mother, Cindy arrived at her house, knocking softly on the door. Lisa opened it, her eyes red from crying. Cindy immediately pulled her into a hug. Oh, Lisa, I heard Daniel left. I'm so sorry, Cindy said in a soft voice. Lisa nodded weakly, stepping aside to let Cindy in. I called my mom, Lisa said. She's coming to see me. Cindy's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly masked her surprise. That's good, she said smoothly. Mothers always know what to do. But deep inside, Cindy wasn't happy. She hadn't expected Lisa to call her mother so soon. If Lisa's mother got too involved, she might figure things out. Cindy needed to act fast. She forced a kind smile and squeezed Lisa's hand. I'll stay with you until she arrives, Cindy offered. You shouldn't be alone right now. Lisa gave her a weak smile. Thank you, Cindy. I don't know what I'll do without you. Cindy's heart pounded. If only Lisa knew. She was the reason behind all of this, and she wasn't done yet. An hour later, Lisa's mother arrived in a small taxi. She stepped out, wearing a simple Ankara dress, her face filled with deep concern. As soon as Lisa saw her, she ran into her arms. Mama, Lisa whispered, her voice breaking again. Her mother held her tightly. My child, I am here. Tell me everything, she said, leading Lisa back into the house. As soon as they sat down, Lisa's mother turned to Cindy. And who are you, my dear? She asked, her sharp eyes studying Cindy. Cindy smiled innocently. I'm Lisa's best friend, Ma. I've been supporting her through everything. Lisa nodded. Cindy has been my rock, Mama. She's the only one who stood by me. Lisa's mother gave Cindy a long look before turning back to her daughter. Now, she said, tell me everything, exactly how it happened from the beginning. Lisa poured out everything. From the first day she noticed people avoiding her at work, to strangers in the supermarket running away, to Daniel leaving without a proper explanation. When she was done, her mother sat in deep silence. Then she slowly turned to Cindy. And you, my dear, she said, her voice calm but piercing. You've been with Lisa all this time. Cindy nodded quickly. Yes, Mama, I've done everything I can to help her. Lisa's mother studied her for a long moment before nodding. She said simply. Then she turned back to Lisa and patted her hand. Lisa's mother gently held her hands and looked into her daughter's tired eyes. My child, we will fix this, she said firmly. But first, we need to pray. Lisa nodded weakly. Okay, ma. Her mother led her upstairs to the small room where they knelt down together. She held Lisa's hand and began to pray with deep conviction. Lisa closed her eyes, her heart heavy, but with each word of prayer, she felt lighter. After the prayer, her mother held her close and said, Keep praying, my dear. Do not stop. God will fight for you. Lisa nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. By the time they went back downstairs, Cindy was gone. She had left silently, without waiting to say goodbye. Lisa's mother watched the empty doorway for a moment, then sighed. That girl is hiding something, she said. But don't worry, Lisa, the truth will always come out. Lisa took a deep breath, a strange feeling settling in her heart. Something wasn't right, and soon she would find out why. Lisa sat on the couch, her hands folded in her lap as she looked at her mother with tired, worried eyes. Mama, we have visited the hospital, she sighed. The doctors found nothing. They ran all the tests, but everything is normal. Her mother nodded knowingly. My child, don't worry. This is not ordinary. But remember, God never sleeps. Keep praying. Tell him your worries. He will fight for you. Lisa wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. Yes, ma, I will. Thank you so much, ma. Her mother patted her back gently, then glanced at the time. I will be going soon, but listen to me very carefully. She held Lisa's hand firmly. Be careful of Cindy. Lisa frowned slightly. Cindy? But ma, she's been so supportive. She even followed me to the hospital. Her mother shook her head. Something is not right about that girl. I don't trust her. And mark my words, she will come back. Lisa swallowed, her mother's words echoing in her mind. Cindy? Cindy walked into her mother's small, dimly lit house, her heart pounding. She slammed the door shut and leaned against it, breathing heavily. Her mother, who was sitting on an old wooden chair, raised an eyebrow. What is it? Cindy ran her hands through her hair, frustration and fear written all over her face. Mama, Lisa called her mother. That woman is suspecting me. Her mother's face darkened. What did she say? Cindy sat down and buried her face in her hands. She said she would pray, and I could tell she knows something is wrong. The older woman let out a sharp breath. Foolish girl, I told you to remain calm. Now you're making it obvious. Cindy shook her head quickly. I didn't say anything. I only left because I was feeling uneasy. Her mother's eyes narrowed. Then why are you panicking? Cindy sighed and leaned back. Because Lisa called me after I left. She asked why I left suddenly. Her mother strengthened. And what did you tell her? I lied. I told her I got an emergency call and that I'll be back tomorrow. The old woman's lips coiled into a smile. Good. Stick to that story. Cindy bit her lip, still feeling uneasy. Her mother noticed and hissed. Listen to me. They will never find out. Do you hear me? Never. So relax. Cindy swallowed hard and nodded, but deep down she wasn't so sure. The next day, Lisa was preparing to leave with her mother when her doorbell rang. She opened it and froze. It was Daniel, her husband, the man who had abandoned her, left her alone to suffer without a single call or message. Now he was standing at the door, looking at her with guilt in his eyes. Lisa's heart pounded. Daniel? Daniel cleared his throat. Lisa, I came to talk. Lisa's mother walked to the door, arms folded. After all this time, she said coldly. Daniel swallowed and looked at Lisa. Please, just hear me out. Lisa hesitated, then sighed. Mama, I will talk to him. Give me a moment. Her mother didn't look happy, but she nodded and stepped back. Lisa crossed her arms. What do you want, Daniel? Daniel ran a hand through his hair. Lisa, I've been thinking about everything, about how I left, about how I didn't even try to understand what we were going through. Lisa's throat tightened. You left me when I needed you the most. Daniel exhaled. I know, and I was wrong. But Lisa, something strange has been happening. Lisa frowned. What do you mean? Daniel hesitated. After I left, Cindy started visiting me a lot. She kept saying things about you, making me feel like I made the right decision. Lisa's eyes widened. Cindy? Daniel nodded. At first, she was just a friend, but then she started acting differently. Always coming over, cooking for me, making me talk badly about you. Lisa's stomach twisted. Daniel rubbed his face. Then, one night, she said something strange. She told me it was good that I left you, that you weren't meant to have a happy marriage anyway. Lisa staggered back. Her mind raced. Cindy had been pushing Daniel away from her. But why? Suddenly, something clicked. Cindy had been the one supporting her too much. She had pushed her to the hospital, insisted she didn't go anywhere else. She had stayed close, too close. Lisa's hands shook. Daniel, do you think Cindy had something to do with this? Daniel looked at her and nodded. Lisa's legs almost gave out. Lisa, Daniel and her mother drove straight to Cindy's house. Cindy and her mother were inside, whispering to each other when they barged in. Cindy jumped up. Lisa, what are you doing here? Lisa's mother pointed at Cindy's mother. Tell us the truth. What did you do to my daughter? Cindy's mother's face paled. I don't know what you're talking about. Daniel stepped forward. Cindy, you were trying to take my wife's place, weren't you? Cindy's hands shook. Daniel, that's not true. Stop lying, Lisa screamed, tears in her eyes. You made me believe you cared. You were hurting me all along. Cindy's mother grabbed her daughter's hand. We don't have to explain anything to them. Lisa's mother stepped forward. Then we will let the world know what you have done. We will go to every spiritual leader, every doctor, every police officer if we have to. Cindy and her mother froze. Lisa wiped her tears. Undo whatever you did to me, or I swear I will make sure you both regret it. Cindy's mother swallowed hard. Then slowly she turned and disappeared into her bedroom. A few moments later, she came out with a small wrapped cloth. She handed it to Lisa's mother. Burn this, she whispered, and your daughter will be free. Lisa grabbed Daniel's hands. Let's go. Without another word, they walked out of Cindy's house, forever closing the door on that chapter. That night, Lisa's mother burned the cloth as instructed. The very next morning, Lisa noticed something. For the very first time in weeks, nobody ran from her. She walked into the kitchen where Daniel was making coffee. He turned, smiling. And for the first time in weeks, he didn't flinch. Tears filled Lisa's eyes. Daniel pulled her into a hug. It's over, Lisa. You're free. Lisa buried her face in his chest and sobbed. She had almost lost everything. But in the end, the truth had won. Cindy and her mother didn't leave town immediately. At first, they tried to pretend nothing happened, as if they could move on like before. But life had other plans. The very next week, Cindy lost the small shop she was managing. The owner suddenly decided to sell the space to someone else, leaving her with no source of income. Her mother, who had been relying on her, fell sick, but they had no money for proper treatment. As the days turned into months, Cindy's life became miserable. She had no job, No man wanted to marry her. Even the people she used to gossip with avoided her. She could see the disgust in their eyes whenever she walked past. They knew. They didn't know all the details, but they knew she had tried to destroy Lisa's life. Her mother, once proud and arrogant, became bitter and helpless. She spent her days sitting outside their small house, watching people pass by, wishing she had done things differently. Meanwhile, Lisa's life took a beautiful turn. She and Daniel rebuilt their marriage. Though it took time, love found its way back. Lisa also became more successful at work. She got a big promotion, moved into a bigger house with Daniel, and lived happily. One evening, Lisa was at a supermarket when she heard someone call her name. She turned and froze. Cindy stood there, looking terrible. Her once glowing skin looked dry, her hair was unkempt, and her clothes looked old and worn out. Lizzie's heart tightened. For a brief moment, she remembered the Cindy she used to know, the friend she once trusted. "Lisa," Cindy said in a low voice, "please, I need to talk to you." Lisa took a deep breath. "Go ahead." Cindy swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm truly sorry. I regret everything I did. It wasn't my intention. My mother pushed me. Please." Lisa said nothing. Cindy's lips trembled. "I have lost everything. My job, my respect, my peace. I have nothing left, Lisa." Lisa crossed her arms. "Cindy, you had a choice. You could have been a true friend, but you let jealousy destroy everything." Tears fell from Cindy's eyes. "I know, and I regret it every single day. Please, Lisa, can we be friends again?" Lisa looked at Cindy for a long moment. Then she smiled. A soft, kind smile. "I forgive you, Cindy." Cindy's eyes lit up. "Really?" Lisa nodded. "Yes, but..." Her face turned serious. "I can never be your friend again." Cindy's smile faded. Lisa sighed. "Some things can't be undone. I have moved on with my life, and I want nothing to do with you anymore." Cindy wiped her tears and nodded slowly. "I understand." Lisa glanced at her one last time. "Take care, Cindy." Then she turned and walked away, leaving Cindy standing alone with nothing but regret. That night, Lisa made a decision. She called her mother and said, "From today, I will never give my used clothes out again, and I will always pray without let up." Her mother agreed. Sometimes kindness must have boundaries. And so Lisa lived happily, learning to help wisely, but never carelessly. As for Cindy, she remained miserable. No job, no husband, no friend, and a heart filled with regret. Lisa's story teaches us something very important. Kindness is a beautiful thing, but not everyone deserves it. Sometimes the people we help are the same ones who would plot our downfall. Not every smiling friend is a true friend. Some people are not grateful, they are envious. And envy is a dangerous thing. It can turn a friend into an enemy, a helping hand into a trap, and love into betrayal. Lisa learned this the hard way. She gave with a pure heart, but Cindy saw it as an insult. Most importantly, pray without ceasing. When you give, ask God to bless your gift and protect you from any harm. Pray that whoever receives it will accept it genuinely and with good intentions. Not every hand that takes from you wishes you well. Before you give anything away, whether it's clothes, money, or even help, pray first. Ask God to bless your kindness and protect you from harm. Pray that the receiver will accept it with a pure heart and good intentions. Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone you trusted? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like this video, comment, Subscribe for more powerful folktales and share this video. Turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson that could save your life or someone else. Be kind, but be wise. The end. Thank you for watching.